Welcome, guys. Welcome again to the channel. So, Joshua Mapanga, a Zimbabwean motivational speaker. He's a philosopher. He's an author. He's a musician, and he's also he talks strictly about African history. Colonialism, um, how to decolonize the mind. Well, he's a very brilliant guy, and he travels all over the world and gives speeches and stuff. So anyway, he have this interesting idea of the Chinese trying to overtake Africa. So we'll take a look at this video and then we're going to dissect it after. Take a listen. Boom.
These are not just here to expand land issues. They are here to reorganize a population, preservation of their own nation in other countries. They're overpopulated now, so they're pushing some of them here. Not only that, it's also a 30-year plan to take over certain parts of Africa. So the prisoners that are being sent here to come and work, they don't bring their wives. They come alone. So of the 153, 400,000 Chinese that have come with the 3, 4, 5, 11 billion investment, that number could be much more. All of them are bachelors. The only few executives have brought their wives, but the rest are prisoners and bachelors who now are making children in Africa. And these children will be Chinese and African, but being African, these children are Chinese, who are going to be educated in our system, who will receive scholarships to go back to China and come back and become presidents and ministers in Africa, and by right, they are citizens because we're born here. It's a strategy. In 30 years' time, you will call me back. I hope I'll still be able to talk. And you will recite this. When you have the first vice president, the first minister, the first president in one of the African countries being a crossbreed between Chinese and African.
I mean, are we seeing this happening?
Go to villages and you see those children running up and down. In Zimbabwe, we have them. In Uganda, you have them. In Kenya, you have them. It's insignificant now. Let's not talk much about it. There are women right now who are pregnant with Chinese kids. There are some who are breastfeeding Chinese kids. And it's going. It's going. We saw it in Ghana, the Rawlings, a colored guy. How did a colored man end up as a president of a country? There's nothing. We saw it in Botswana. How did Cesar Kama become the president when he's a colored? His mother is British and his father was Tswana, and the father was a president. 2 generations later, he became the president himself. So it's nothing funny. This is exactly what is happening.
So there you have it. And what he says holds a lot of water if you listen to him objectively. Don't infuse your thoughts. Just listen to what he's saying. Take a logical look on it, an objective view, not a subjective view. And what he says is facts. When you see mass amount of any one race go to any other country or any other continent, the goal is to take over. And when I say take over, I don't mean like take over as in overtake the entire continent. That's impossible. But what they do, as he said, is they get kids born on the African continent and they are automatically African slash Chinese. And they will, as he said, make sure they're very, very educated. They're gonna allow them to go to the best schools. They're gonna bring them back to China give them scholarships to make sure they are become the engineers, the mechanics, um, the CEOs, the CFOs, all the big jobs. They're going to make sure they have the knowledge of it, and then, as he said, over time they'll become prime ministers, they'll become senators, or even president, which happened in Botswana, as he explained. And this is not frightening to me, but it's in the cards because this is the Chinese. The Chinese does not plan short term. When the Chinese government does not think 10 years, 5 years, Chinese government think 100 years down the line. To prove my point, take a look at this, where they took um 70 years to reforest a desert, and it happened Not because this president won't be able to do it, that doesn't mean he's gonna stall the process. They will continue it and then make sure when the next person comes in, they continue from that point onwards. And they do big projects to take 15 years, 20 years, but they stick to it, and that's what we as African lacks. I'm gonna say African, I mean African leaders lacks. Most African leaders does not think 50 years or even 10 years down the line. Most African leaders think 4 day presidential term. How to keep themselves in power, or to enrich themselves. They don't think about the population and the prosperity and the growth of their countries. They think only about the power. And this is one of the reasons why Abraham Traore and Tini and the other presidents of Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso. These are true patriots because what? Abraham Traore, notice it does not have any luxury car. He does not have a luxury house. He always in his military uniform. He always strapped, and he always go rolling around in military vehicles. And he does not travel to the Africa summits like no the 48 heads of state is in South Korea to some South Korea summit. They refrain from it, and their countries are still booming and economically wise. The economy is growing. The citizens are much better. So you don't need to go to these summits where these presidents are all happy on to go. If the South Koreans don't want to talk to African leaders, you make a summit in Africa. Why they would have to go out of to take a trip and go all the way to South Korea to make this gonna cost the citizens of each country money to fund these planes, right? And all these people they're sending, feed them, clothe them, hotel and all of that. Please don't come to us. You have the Italy summit, Italy Africa, you have Europe Africa, you have America there's always some summit where all heads of state is flying out to go. I don't understand this. So anyway, let's get back to the what Joshua is saying. And he's saying it's happening in Zimbabwe, Uganda, where you have little Chinese blackanese, we call them blackanese, running around South Africa, and they will grow up and they will become educated and they will take run in election because they are citizens. You can't take that away from them. They are citizens because they are born in Africa, but they have Chinese. And you know what? The funny thing is, the Chinese will accept them as Chinese, but the black people won't accept them as black. You see, the the reason why the Chinese um power is growing, and that's why they take over. They take over things without firing a shot, which is one of um the 48 laws of one of the 48 laws that states you don't have to fire a shot or to basically dismantle a country. There's ways they can go about it, and again, the Chinese think long term. They think 100 years down in the future. They don't think 5, 10, 15 years. They think way longer than that. So they put things in place from now. Even if they don't see it in their lifetime, their predecessors will make sure these things continue rolling along steadily and surely. And if we as African well, not when we say we as Africans, I'm not talking about the citizens. We're talking about heads of state, presidents, prime ministers. If they was thinking 100 years in the future, 50 years in the future, it would be a much, much better continent. Yes, we have colonial issues, we have racism still, but that's not any excuse we can use anymore. That's what holding us back as countries because look what Burkina Faso did. Look what Abraham Traore did in Burkina Faso. He proves to us what can be done when you put your mind to it, and you have love of country and love of self. And majority of African leaders does not have this at heart. They are puppets. They were put there to make sure the powers to be stays in place, make sure the economy keep doing bad and more worse and worse while we enrich other countries like Europe, the Western countries. They get enriched off us because all right now with the summit that's going on in South Korea with the 48 heads of state, South Korea gonna pick out the best deals or the best deal they can make out of some of them, and then they're gonna abandon the rest. They're gonna say, okay, this one gonna give me this one gonna give me that. I don't need you because you're giving me too much problem. And that's all these summits are. These summits are like a buffet of resources to choose from. That's it. That's all it is. they're gonna invest 3 billion in Africa. Yes, but they're gonna gain trillions of dollars in return. So that $3 billion they're spending is like a dollar in economical prosperity wise. They give 3 billion, but they take 1 trillion in return. So we're still losing on a massive level. We need to start use our resources for us. Why is it? I'm sorry, I'm straying a little bit from the topic, but I have to get this out. Why is it? You know what? I'll just listen to the next video. But what do you think about this? What do you think about what Joshua Manpanga is talking about with the Chinese slowly taking over certain areas by impregnating black women, making babies in Africa to become presidents, prime ministers, senators to have the interests at the heart. What are your thoughts on this? And this is a very important matter. It's not important now because it's on a small scale. But what happens when this multiplies all over the African continent and also all over the Caribbean? Because Jamaica have it already. We have tons of Chinese in Jamaica that's born Jamaicans, speak the language, speak the patois, the dialect, integrate into the community, and they're the ones who own supermarkets, hotels, businesses. That's why because the Chinese government funds their citizens wherever they go in the world. They give them money to open businesses. We need to start with the same as black people. Get a central bank that can loan money to wherever they go in the world. They can get money to start a business, just like what the Chinese does to grow their economical juggernaut, to become an economical juggernaut globally. We can do because we have all the resources to do it. So anyway, let me know what you think about this in the comment section. As always, I don't know. Tell a friend, like, comment, share, and subscribe.